Hi everybody, it's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. How are you guys today? I am going to bring you a really fun card today. It's a shadow box card and it's fairly simple to make. I'm going to show you the process, and it's a great card to send to somebody. It fits into a regular size envelope. It folds flat, and then when they open it, they can pull on this and make the shadow box. You can see from the top here that it is stacked and layered, and then they can set it on a mantle or on a table, and it sits very nicely. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be using the Peaceful Cabin stamp set, the Tasteful Textile embossing folder, and the layering circle dies, as well as the cabin dies. So to get started, you're going to use your Simply Scored tool. I'm going to start with that. And you are going to score two pieces. I already have the other one scored, of 6 1/4 by 5.5 inch piece, and they're both scored exactly the same. You're going to score them at 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and then you're going to rotate it to the other side and do the same thing, 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and you do the same on the other side, the other piece, exactly the same way. So you're going to have two pieces that are 6 1/4 by 5.5, and you're going to score both sides of the 6 1/4 inch length at 1/2 inch and 1 inch all the way down. Now I'm going to be using the texture, the Tasteful Textile Textured Here embossing folder to add a little bit of texture to the front of my piece. So I'm going to go ahead and place it in here. Well, first, actually, let me score all my lines, because that is a little bit more important, because we want to make sure that those are nice and burnished, and then we will emboss. We're going to use the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine today when we do our embossing. I think I'm moving my little mat here on my table as I do this. Okay, so let's see. We're going to place this right here in the center. We're going to go ahead and close that. And with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, whenever you do embossing, you, if it's a 3D embossing folder, which this one happens to be, you're going to use plate number 1, which is your platform. Then you're going to put your little sandwich in here. And then you're going to use plate number 4, which is the gray plate. And we're going to go ahead and crank that through the machine. And when we open that, you're going to see that texture. Hopefully you're going to be able to see that. It's really pretty. And there's the texture on that piece of white. Okay, you're also going to stamp a piece of 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 basic white cardstock with some snowflakes, and I've also used my embossing folder, my blending brush. I don't know, I'm still stuck on embossing folder. My blending brush, and you're gonna blend your background first. I used Balmy Blue, and then I stamped over the top with the Misty Moonlight snowflakes. You're gonna take this and you are going to attach it into your piece as your background, okay? And then that forms your back side of your shadow box. So let me show you that. So that's what it looks like once it's been installed into your shadow box piece. You're also going to put tear and tape on these pieces that you're going to fold back. And so you're going to put tear and tape on that one, on both sides. Then this textured piece needs to have a circle cut out of it. But before we do that, we're going to lay, this is a piece of 4 1/8 by 3 3/4 of basic white cardstock. I stamped my cabin stamp, this one right here, in Misty Moonlight, and I stamped it onto this piece of paper. And then I used my outlined cabin die. Let me show you that one. Gotta pull it out here. So it was this one. and you place it over the top and around. And then when it cuts out, it cuts just that outline around the top, and you have a little seam, which is going to be the piece that we attach on the inside right here. So this piece is going to get attached down here on the inside, and we are going to use Stampin' Dimensionals to do that. I'm going to move this out of the way temporarily. It's going to come back in a minute, but for right now, it's in my way while I show you this. So we're going to go ahead and attach our little cabin in here. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that over, and I'm going to grab some dimensionals here, and I'm going to put some on the cabin and down the side. And we want to have a good amount of dimension on this piece so that it sticks up. So that should be good, the amount of Stampin' Dimensionals. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull the backs off of them. I use my Take Your Pick tool. I really love this tool to get the backs off of these because they get stuck to the Take Your Pick tool and then they don't end up on my craft room floor. I can throw them right into the trash can from the Take Your Pick tool. So pulled all the backs off. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach my little cabin to the back of this little scene I've created. So when I place that in there, you're going to be able to see that it's lifted because of those Stampin' Dimensionals. So that's a little bit lifted off my background. So now we're going to figure out where we want to cut our circles. So we're going to cut 2 circles. We're going to cut one out of piece of Misty Moonlight, which is 5 3/8 by 4 1/4, and we're going to cut one out of this 6 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece that we scored on the sides, and it's going to be cut out of this textured piece. The larger of the two, these are the 2 largest circles in the layering circles. The largest one is going to be used on this piece of white, and I'm going to try and figure out approximately where I want it, and it's about center. So we're going to go ahead and go about center on this white piece, and we're going to lay our circle about center there, and we will cut that one out. And then we have to figure out where we want this one, and I'll show you once I've cut the first one out. So let's go ahead and start with the largest of the 2 circles, and we're going to go ahead and bring the machine back in. When we cut with the steel dies, we don't use the gray plate. We use plate number 1, which is our base. We use plate number 2 whenever we use the steel dies, and then we're going to use plate number 3 for the bottom. We're going to set our little paper on here. We're going to grab the largest. We're going to center that as best we can into our scene here. That looks pretty good, I think. And then we're going to put our other number 3 on top, and that's going to form our little sandwich. And then we're just going to go ahead and run that through the machine, and it's going to cut that circle out for me. All right. So there's the first one. You can save this for another project if you'd like. Okay, the next one we are going to do is this piece of Misty Moonlight is going to fit right here into this channel. We have our score marks, right? And they have been burnished. And that piece is going to fit right there. So we have to figure out where we want our circle to be and how we want it to fit. So once we have that figured out, I'm going to go ahead and hold this down and lift this piece away. Did you see how I did that? And hopefully I will not move it as I move my fingers away. There we go. We're going to add our clear number 3 back on top, and we will run that through. So you use your first piece as your guide to help you figure out where you're going to place your hole. And then again, you can use this piece for another project if you'd like. And so let's go ahead and get the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out of the way. And we can continue our cute card. All right, let me put these circles back on my dies, or else they may disappear. So those are the two largest of the solid circles, not the scallops, obviously. And I will put them away because I do not want them getting lost. Same with my cabin dies. I better put them away so that I don't lose any pieces. All right, so let's move on to the next step here. The next step is going to be to attach this blue layer inside, this Misty Moonlight layer, to the inside of this front. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to use some wet adhesive. And the reason we're going to use the wet adhesive is because it gives you some wiggle room. And wiggle room is always awesome, right? It also gives us nice coverage in a circular way all the way around, because we can make the lines ourselves with our wet glue. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the front here. I need to make sure that I have enough, but I don't want to get too close to that circle because remember, it's going to show on the outside. So let's go ahead and fill in with our glue. Make sure that there's some on the edges. And what I love about this glue is that you can slide it around until you get it in place right where it needs to be. So I'm going to bring this over the top and I am going to slide it until I have a nice ring of Misty Moonlight. And then I'm going to go ahead and press it down onto it. The other reason I'm using the liquid glue is this is textured, and the liquid glue helps to fill in the nooks and crannies of that textured piece. So there's our front so far, and this is our back so far. So we are going to attach these two pieces together, and that is going to form our little scene. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to stamp in Misty Moonlight the words on the front. It says, "May you enjoy the peace of this beautiful season." It's a beautiful stamp. Hopefully I can get it straight. We'll see what happens. Let's see. All right. There we go. Awesome. So now we're going to glue these two pieces together. Let me clean my stamp quickly. Grab my cleaner. I like to use the little chamois here to clean my stamps. All right. I've already put the tear and tape, which comes on a roll like this, and you just pull it out to the length you need, and then it just tears off with your fingers. You don't need to cut it. You can just tear it. That's why it's called tear and tape. So we're going to pull this one off here. There's one, and I'm going to attach one at a time. So I'm going to have it hold it upside down right now because I just want to line these two edges up. Awesome. Just like that. And let's do the other side next. There we go. All right, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to line those edges up. It's hard to see white on white, but we're going to make it happen, guys. We're going to make it happen. Let's go ahead and attach there and press it into place. I'm going to use my bone folder. Make sure that they're stuck in there really good. Okay, so that's what we have so far. We have our little cabin scene. I'm also going to now give this a nice burnish now that I have my sides on both sides. I'm going to press down, and that will help to hold it in place. There we go. So now we're going to put our trees in. I've already die cut those. So I think my board is wiggling around on me a little bit. So I have 3 of those little guys, and we're going to use mini dimensionals. So I'm going to put one on the front of this tree, maybe in this corner right here. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the back off of it. And let's go ahead and stick my hand inside for one side, and just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and attach that tree to the front of my window. And then I want to do a scene with the medium and the small tree. So I'm going to start with the medium tree, and I'm going to put one of these dimensionals on the bottom here. I'm going to pull that off the backing, and we'll start with this guy. We're going to stick him up off the side like so. And now comes the baby tree. We're going to put another one of these guys on it near the bottom. Pull the backing off. And then the same thing. We're going to lay it down here, and when we're happy with the placement, we're just going to press it up against that window. And then that forms our beautiful shadow box. There it is when it's closed. And when you pull it open to sit it up on your desk, that's what it looks like. Let me pull it back a little so you guys can see. Looks pretty awesome. So that is our card. I hope that you have enjoyed watching me make it. It is a fairly simple card to make. I know you guys can do it. It's super easy. Again, you have the 2 pieces of thick basic white cardstock that are 6 1/4 by 5 1/2. You're going to score those at 1/2 inch and 1 inch on each side of both pieces. And then you have the Misty Moonlight piece, which is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. You also have a basic white cardstock, not a thick one, just regular 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And that's what forms your scene for the back that you're going to stamp your snowflakes onto and blend with your blending brushes, that basic white one. The Misty Moonlight forms your ring in the middle here that you're going to use your second smallest circle to cut out. And then you have the small basic white piece, which is 4 1/8 by 3 3/8 that you're going to stamp your cabin on and cut your cabin die out of the top. And once you've done that, you're going to adhere that with some dimensionals on top of your sheet of snowflakes. Those get adhered to the back side of this piece. You're going to use your tear and tape on the sides, and you're going to attach both pieces after you have textured the front with the embossing folder and cut your largest circle out of it. So I hope that you guys understand how to make this. I'm really, really excited to have brought it to you. I really appreciate you watching, so thank you so much. I'm kind of new to YouTube, so if you don't mind helping me out, please like and comment. Share and subscribe. Ask your friends to subscribe too, and when you subscribe, you're going to get notifications of when I will post new videos. You can check out my blog. The link is in the description below, and when you go there, you can access PDFs, measurements, and more fun projects. Thank you once again for watching. I greatly appreciate that. This is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping, guys!